after graduation. And I'm going to bring forward Mr. Rodney Baltimore, who's going to be our MC for today.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to be part of your Friday and your weekend. I'm Rodney Baltimore from Complement 5 Radio, and on behalf of Cox Radio Station, and we have a couple of radio stations, 99 Jams, Hits 93.7, as well as Easy 93. And thank you for allowing me to be part of this program. Again, I was last year, I participated in the program in the recruitment of some very talented and worthwhile young people to invest in the craft. So I want to thank Mr. Dozier and the whole staff here at the Oriental Special Craft Academy. So we're going to have a dynamic program. I'm excited just to see our young people engage in their future, and I'm more excited to see the parents, friends, and well-wishers, and community stakeholders that believe it right to invest in their future as well. We're going to have our introductions and acknowledgments, and this is going to be provided by Keon Mincy Horton and Talik Murphy. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, today we have Commissioner Barbara Jordan.
District 1.
We also have Miss Marcella Ondes of Miami-Dade College.
We have with us Mr. Mark Fine, CPA.
We also have Gina Russ, who is also an attorney.
We have with us Mr. Freddie Owens, FDOT retired.
We have Mr. Luis Dieg, an assistant superintendent of Dade School.
We have Mr. Rodney Baltimore from Hot 105.
I don't think he's here right now, but we also have Mr. James T. from Hot 105 as well.
We have Mr. Maestro Powell from Cox Media.
We have Mr. Jim Kane, he's retired.
We have Mr. Howard Johnson for construction.
We also have Mr. Kareem Brentley, a board member.
We have Mr. Freddie Woodson from Dade Schools.
And we also have Mr. Alvin Patterson, another board member of Dade Schools, who is also retired.
That's all the guests for today.
No, Marsha Sims.
We have Martha Sims with us.
Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mincy Horton and Mr. Murphy. Thank you both, gentlemen, and all those community stakeholders that were acknowledged. Would you just stand for just a second? Briefly. And we want to say again, thank you to each and every one of you. You may be seated. The theme for the program for this morning is the impact of global warming. It's impacting us here in South Florida, probably more so than any part of the continental United States right now. So there's going to be a student presentation, the theme, Global Warming and Sinking Cities by the summer camp students. So I believe that's going to be a video presentation, if I'm not mistaken. And I also want to acknowledge that James T., my colleague, is on the air right now, so he will not be able to attend until a bit later on. Maestro Powell, my other colleague from Cox, is here in the front. I think you take care of the food, right? So we're going to be nice to you. All right, thank you. I just want to emphasize to the staff and to the community stakeholders for coming out and supporting our young people, especially when it comes to global warming and sinking cities. As you know, for some of you may be privy to this, some of us may just not believe that it's impacting our community. We see the changes in various neighborhoods, the beach, and the encroachment of people onto the highlands in Liberty City, Little Haiti, Little Havana, where we're having some type of also environmental gentrification. I guess I'm just doing my opinions. And you also look at the impact that it has on the water supply. I see we have some seniors in age, and here we have a little newborn in the back, and that's going to impact all of us, so we need to do something to protect our environment. And then where these people go, the Urban Construction Craft Academy, these children are learning how to, they can have new habitats in the changing environment of construction and what it's going to take, and they're learning that right now. So I want to just, again, salute the program. We're going to have some words of encouragement from our Miami-Dade County Commissioner, District Number 1, a strong advocate, the entire gamut of what happens in not just her district, but entire Miami-Dade County. And I love her, Barbara Jordan.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you again, Rodney. Rodney is the community DJ, the person who gives us advance notices on everything that goes on in the community. And he doesn't turn anybody down because he loves the community that he works in. Let's give Rodney a big round of applause. You know, it's really a pleasure to be here today because your sponsor, your director, your leader is the perfect example of what you need to emulate in life. Because Bill Dozier has seen it all, he's been through it all, he knows the struggles of it all, and he knows the games people play, and he can teach you about all of that, as well as the skill sets that you need to succeed in life. And I know that he has fought very hard throughout the years to get this academy going. And he would never give up, never give up. And the fact that this academy is here today is a testament to him and his determination. You know, when I was running for office, I went to try and get endorsements. And one of the groups that I met with was the Land Builders Association. And they told me about a school that they had. That's a Dade County public school. It's a construction school. But guess what? It's located where we can't get to it. Because it's way down west, out west somewhere. And no school bus go out there that comes from Liberty City or comes from Brownsville or comes from Opelika. So my challenge to the superintendent was, we need the same thing on the north end. And the reason that I put that challenge out there is because if you go down Biscayne Boulevard, if you went down Biscayne Boulevard 4 or 5 years ago, all you saw were cranes, construction cranes. What Bill is doing here is not nearly the level of where he's going to take it. He's just beginning. He's just beginning. But what he's doing here is preparing young people for the fact that those cranes are there, that you can go on Biscayne Boulevard and get that job as a painter and get that job as a construction worker. You can go and make yourself some real money working in construction and working and doing the things in crafts that he's teaching you and that he's opening the doors to you. So I want you to realize how much of an opportunity this is, and it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. But what fascinated me this morning when I came in, I saw girls. I saw young ladies who are interested in using their hands for crafts. I'm sure they can lay tile, they can do anything that anybody else can do. And it's the same thing as when we started the Firefighter Academy. We had young ladies who would be able to carry those hoses and really work on trying to put a fire out. So take advantage of this opportunity. Parents, you are so wise. I really want to honor you for encouraging your children to come to this academy, because this opens their eyes to other opportunities that they never would have thought of in a regular classroom. Never would have thought of it. And start liking and loving things. So when they get out there in the world and they get married and the husband's not home, don't worry about it. I don't need him to fix this for me. I know how to change the toilet or to do whatever needs to be done. You know, we think we can't get a little messy, if that's what we want to think about. But this gives us the opportunity to have our students, to have our children exposed to different skill sets and different things that they can do, and open a door that never would have been opened. And that would not have been possible in this academy without the determination and stubbornness and agitation, because that's what it takes, of Bill Dozier.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan, and Bill's words are very powerful, impactful, and it's true. And I had a conversation with Mr. Dozier, I guess a year or 2 years ago, about the young ladies that participate in this program, because power tools are a great equalizer, you know? And now with the advent of these safety equipment, so they can work on their knees all day and have padding and still have great legs when they wear a skirt, okay? So I just want to thank you and the staff for what you've done and what you're continuing to do in our community. Right now, a number of students, I think they got a 90+ completion rate from the start of this summer, which is very good. That means they stuck it out. So Mr. Dozier is going to come forth and recognize some of the students.
Thank you so much. Commissioner, thank you so much for the kind words, but I'd be a thief if I took all the accolades. We have the most powerful staff of volunteers and community persons that support us in this effort. It is truly a community effort. I just happen to be the one out front making noise, and yeah, I'm a little agitated at times, but it takes that. But again, without people like you and Mr. Wilson and Mr. Dean, I won't call them all at this point, but it takes all of us, and you guys have never said no. I want to stop at this point and recognize a strong source of our success. That's the Cox family. Mr. Rodney Baltimore, please stand. Mr. Michael Powell, please stand. But none of them is the same thing. Without these gentlemen, getting our message out would be totally impossible. I could call Mr. T that morning and say, hey man, I need to come in. Come on. You know, I called Maestro, I'll see you Sunday morning at 7. I called Rodney, can you be here tomorrow at 6 o'clock? It takes that. You know, we don't have, obviously we operate without any public dollars. This is a self-help kind of initiative. So it really takes all of us. It truly takes a whole village to raise a child. And to see the kind of support I've gotten over the years from the team that I've assembled. I'm the biggest nuisance in the world, Ms. Jordan. Ask the staff. They'll tell you about that a little later. But it's all for the kids. We love them so much, and they are so deserving. Before we have them do their presentations, the first 4 weeks of our camp was designed to expose them to the plumbing, the skills trades, you know, electrical, etc. Then the challenge began. You know, what happens if the inevitable takes place? Our seas are rising, our storms are getting more severe, our cities are sinking. And it's going to be incumbent upon your generation to correct that problem. You might know how to do a plumbing installation now, but 20 years from now, 30 years, when we have all these other natural disasters that we have to contend with, how do we compensate for that? So we challenged them within 2 weeks to research global warming. We actually gave them a few field trips to expose them to some of it. And if I seem a little excited, I am. These kids have shown me so much on how quick they learn, how well they learn. So they're going to give their presentation on global warming and the impacts of it. And please bear with them and encourage them to come forward. So team one, please.
Hi, my name is Talik Murphy and I attend the Urban Construction Craft Academy. My first day here, I thought it would be a waste of time, but that quickly changed by the end of the day. My peers and I are standing in front of parents, teachers, and staff and guests to talk about global warming.
Global warming is a long-term rise in the average temperature of the Earth's climate system, an aspect of climate change shown by temperature measurements and multiple effects of the warming. Global warming is already having significant and harmful effects on our communities, our health, and our climate. Sea level is accelerating. The number of large wildfires is growing. Dangerous heat waves are becoming more common. Extreme storm events are increasing in many areas. More severe droughts are occurring in others. I think that we should find solutions to stop all of these consequences, or these consequences will continue to intensify.
Climate change impact on buildings and constructions. Buildings and roads, etc. must be designed for future climate conditions. In the past construction industry, a number of speculations about how it would change as the planet gets warmer. However,
with temperature levels rising and the weather becoming more violent and unpredictable, this means chaos in the industry built for weather predictability and clear skies for jobs such as painting, putting up fences, and building houses. The number one concern for the climate change is the worksite safety.
The Global Warming Solution Act of 2006 is a California state law that reduced the California state law.
Researchers in Columbia University are working on a new way to keep buildings cool. They drew inspiration from an unlikely source, a heat-tolerant species of ants called the Saharan silver ant. It lives in the scorching desert. In 2015, a physical professor discovered that the ant's silvery coating of the hair reflects sunlight and radiates heat back to the sky. He and his colleagues have developed a paint-like material that mimics these functions. When applied to the rooftop, it reflects up to 90% of the sunlight and emits heat back up into the atmosphere.
That's it.
Okay, at this time we're gonna have one of my colleagues, and everybody knows James T. James T. Thomas.
Thank you so very much. I must apologize. I am going to have to leave. I got permission to come off the radio show, but I promised I would be back at the 12 o'clock hour. But I did want to come. And I really wanted to thank, of course, Brother Bill Dozier. We've developed a relationship in this community. And I met Bill through Lindsay Powell. And this gentleman here, I brag about him not just to his face, behind his back, and everywhere. We realize that our success in this community has been because of service to the community. And when we find people who will go out and who will help others, as Dr. Miles Monroe, I met him only one time in the Bahamas, and of course we all know that he died in a plane crash, he and his wife and some of his family, but he talks about leadership, and he shares with us that leaders are not people who are looking for followers. Leaders are people who are looking to empower others. And if our young people will accept what we are offering through the lives that we have lived, through what God has blessed us with, if they will look and realize that there's a greater in them than there is out there in trying to be like someone else. I don't want anyone to want to be another James T. or Rodney Baltimore or Lindsay Powell or Tom Joyner. We want them to be what God has created and purposed them to be. Now, mothers and dads, we always want to say to our kids, you are our future. And I say to you, no, we are our future. Unless we're going to be leaving here right now, we are part of our future. So God created us to give as well. So let us never become complacent. I had a biology teacher that talked about procrastination is the thief of time. Oh my goodness. That was before he knew about the internet and the cell phone that could have us be there all day, and we spent 4 and 5 hours and never look at how we can empower ourselves. So I'm hoping that what Bill and his staff and our community is doing, I hope that it will reach even further than our community in inspiring our young people to go where places where we only dream of, because everything that God created that has life has a seed within it, and within us is that seed. And I challenge us to seek to become all that he has created us to be, and if so, we will be as that tree, even if it's an apple tree that will produce apples, that will produce seeds, that will produce trees, that will produce apples, that will produce seeds, and we will live in an orchard. I bless this organization, I bless this community, and as long as I'm here to serve. I thank you for your time. That's it for me.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a representative from Dr. Dorothy Dendros-Lindengal's office. I just started about 3 months ago, but in the 3 months I did get an opportunity to meet Mr. Bill Dozier, and the work he's been doing here is absolutely phenomenal. He actually gave me a tour, a walk around the campus, one of his representatives, and when I walked around the campus, I saw the work that they did, and I was enthralled, I was blown away, and the board member told me, she said, Anthony, this is one of the first African-American schools that's actually having a construction program, so we should do everything we can to support. So Mr. Dozier, you know you have the board members' full support in everything that you do, and anything that we can do in the future to help, you know our doors are all open to you. Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure meeting you.
The email this morning at about 4:30, 5 o'clock. We're waiting for him. Thank you so much. And tell a school board member we said hello to. We sent our best regards. I know she's working hard for the district.
Briefly, I'm the most fortunate guy in the world. And in the audience are some guys that go back to high school with me. Mr. Alvin Patterson, Mr. Al Johnson, and Mr. Jimmy King. Would you guys stand, please? Just so we can acknowledge you. These guys have been supportive of ours forever. They support us in our golf tour, anything that we're doing. We call them and they continue to support us. So I didn't want to not acknowledge them. We go back to so I just wanted to say hello to them. You're going to see a little later the certificates that we have. We have a friend that we call 2 days before they're due, and she's never said no. Ms. Marsha Sims. She does all of our certificates.
Team number 2, here you go.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to CCA. Today we're going to bring y'all a global warming project by Elijah Brunson,
Marcelo Paul,
Jeremy Knights,
and Calvin.
All right.
Now you might ask, what is global warming? Marcelo?
Global warming is the gradual increase in the overall temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. It's generally related to the greenhouse effect. The causes of global warming are CO2, chlorofluorocarbons, and other pollutants.
So basically what he's saying is that the Earth is heating up due to greenhouse gases such as CO2, which trap heat energy within the atmosphere, and then it leads to increase in sea level temperature and also rising sea levels. This eventually leads to sinking cities such as Miami, London, New York, and it goes on and on. Sinking city is a city that will soon be completely immersed underwater. Matter of fact, how do we solve the problem to the sinking cities if we don't know the problem to the sinking cities? Calvin, what is the problem to the sinking cities?
The problem is set to accelerate due to rapid urbanization and climate control. So what can we do about it? Roughly 83 million people is added to the world's population every year. By 2050, there are going to be 9.8 billion people living in the world, with an additional 2/3 living in cities, with another additional 2.5 billion urban dwellers. no questions asked. Our future is urban. Unfortunately, there are ways we can stop our cities from sinking. And it would be helpful to reduce water waste, eat the food you buy, and make less of it meat. Maintain your ride, rethink planes, trains, and other automobiles, and also shrink your carbon footprint.
So basically what he said in English is make sure you actually eat the food that you buy. Don't use as much water, don't waste water. Make sure like you could do things like use an electric car, you know, things that are more natural and less fuel used. So now we have a video on the history of global warming.
Our story starts in 1896 in Sweden with this guy, Svante Arrhenius, a chemist. Arrhenius is the first person to figure out that putting CO2 into the atmosphere could make the Earth warmer. But the prevailing wisdom at the time says that there is an imbalance of nature which no human actions could ever possibly disturb, so nobody takes Arrhenius very seriously until 1938, when an engineer named Guy Stewart Callender decides to look at global temperatures recorded over the past 50 years or so and figures out, hey, even though the Earth is getting warmer. War breaks out in 1939. Ends in 1945. And as the world's economy recovers, industrial production goes into overdrive. Burning of coal and oil with so much sulfur pollution into the atmosphere that partially blocks the sun's rays, and the world actually gets slightly cooler over the next 3 decades. In the 1950s, scientists start looking more closely at the possible effects of CO2 emissions on global temperatures. For the first time, we start to realize that we could have a major problem on our hands.
A few degrees rise in the Earth's temperature would melt the polar ice caps.
But the Cold War is in full swing, and we have more immediate existential threats to think about, like the nuclear holocaust.
Now, then, however,
in the 1960s, the cooling trend continues, and there's even some fringe speculation that we could be heading for a new ice age. That all changes in the mid-70s when temperatures start going up again. The phrase global warming makes its first appearance in the 1975 research paper. Temperatures keep rising throughout the 80s, and 1988 is the hottest year ever recorded to that point. This gets people's attention. Global warming starts to enter mainstream public awareness for the first time.
human activities are changing the atmosphere. We face a global environmental crisis.
The global threat of climate change.
Yes, that's Margaret Thatcher, one of the first world leaders to speak out about climate change. Interesting, right? Anyway, in 1995, an international group of scientists issues the first public statement that there is a discernible human influence on global climate. In 2001, they predict that 21st century warming will leave the 20th century in the dust. Over the next decade, some of the anticipated effects of global warming start happening. Things like rising oceans, intense droughts and heat waves, and powerful storms. The 15 hottest years in history have all occurred since 1998, and 2015 is on track to be the hottest year ever recorded. So what does the future hold? If we curb CO2 emissions, temperatures could rise as little as 2.5 degrees Fahrenheit by 2099. That would be manageable. If we don't, temperatures could rise more than 8 degrees, which would mean massive food shortages, widespread extinctions, and a redrawing of the world's coastlines. The story of global warming will end with a changed climate. That's inevitable at this point. How much it will change remains to be seen.
Solutions to global warming: electric cars, using cleaner fuels instead of fossil fuels, and reducing CO2 emissions.
Thank you for your time and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Team 2. Thank you so much. A very nice presentation. And we have Team 3 coming up. Come on, give them a round of applause, our future.
Hello, my name is Tyrone Blunt Jr. and I'm here with
Kanye Mincy Orton,
and Elijah Vasquez. And we're
here to talk about the global warming effects on Earth.
If you didn't already know what global warming is, it is a gradual increase in the overall temperature of the Earth's atmosphere.
It's generally attributed to the greenhouse effect caused by increased levels of carbon dioxide, chlorofluorocarbons, and other pollutants.
In simple words, global warming occurs when carbon dioxide, air pollutants, and greenhouse gases absorb sunlight and solar radiation that have bounced off the Earth's surface.
Some other effects global warming can have worldwide is the major effect it has on its oceans, which includes the rising sea level.
Due to thermal expansions and melting of glaciers and ice sheets and the warming on the ocean surface, which would lead to increased temperature stratification.
A couple of ways it can impact the animals and how they have to face new challenges for survival is because of the climate change.
The more frequent instance drought, storms, heat waves, rising sea levels, and melting glaciers can directly harm some animals, for instance, destroying the places they live and would force them to come and wreak havoc on people's livelihood and communities.
Such as forest fires, ice sheets, and glaciers melting in the ocean and sea, making the sea level rise. Some of the sinking cities are Miami, Indonesia, Tokyo, New Orleans, and more.
Speaking of Miami, global warming is also affecting our Florida population by its rising sea level. It has resulted in salt water getting into our wells that provide drinking water to our cities, also creating a need to move from the sea.
In other words, the sea level is already having an impact on our people's quality of life, building roads, and our state's economy.
Now let's talk about Jakarta, Indonesia. Jakarta, Indonesia is sinking now, so now Indonesia has to find a new capital model. Predict 2050, 90% of North Jakarta.
This week, amid devastating flooding, Indonesia announced it's planning to move its capital out of Jakarta.
Now let's talk about Tokyo. Tokyo looks for new ways to protect itself from threats such as rising waters, typhoons, tsunamis, earthquakes, and sinking neighborhoods threaten one of the most popular cities, an economic engine of Japan, with some of the world's largest problems.
Some things about New Orleans and the most of the area in New Orleans is now 1 1/2 to 3 meters and 4.92 to 9.84 feet below sea level.
Scientists found out that the grounding area was sinking a rate of 1 centimeter a year.
The continual sinking plus the rising sea level due to the climate crisis without sediment and water to stabilize the farmer marshes as if 8 to 12 feet and the wetlands are rapidly eroding.
Also, in the 1930s, 1/3 of the city was below sea level, and by the time Katrina struck, the number was about 50%.
Cars represent the air pollutants and the gas that goes into the air, which is toxic for the earth. And then the plastic and water bottles for the blue part of the area on this project represents the plastic and the debris we put in the water that can hurt the animals and the turtles that gets caught as it swims through the ocean.
And this is right here when the water rises, we could have houseboats. We have houses on the boat you could live on the water.
Now, this is an experiment that we had learned in our head. Ms. Cheryl had provided us with. So basically, with this balloon is water, and water absorbs heat. But then when there's no water,
It doesn't really absorb the heat, so it gets very hot.
And it pops. But then when you get the water,
It doesn't pop because the ocean absorbs the heat. So basically, that's true. If you put it under where the water is at, it won't pop.
Thank you.
Again, give it up for team 3, group 3. And that's a very nice presentation. I'm glad I'm not at the circus and you want to saw me in half. I'm not to worry about it. None of you volunteers? All right. We're going to have our next group, and I believe we're going to have some of the young ladies in the program, and that will be group 4, and I'll have them introduce themselves. I'll say their names first. We have Ashari Taylor, we have Kenyatta Johnson, Avrina Reddick, and Andrew Jean.
May I please have the privilege of saying, my name is Ashari Taylor, and I hate global warming. I personally hate global warming. What?
You hate what?
Global warming. I hate global warming. Oh, wow. Global warming. It has caused us to have extreme heat waves, forest fires, climate change, and melting glaciers. Before I get into the good stuff, let me introduce y'all to my group.
Okay.
I'm Kenyatta. Bree.
Andrew Dean.
And this is our project about global warming. To begin with, extreme heat waves is bad because it has a toll on our health. Does anybody know what global warming is? Nobody knows what global warming is? Can we have some volunteers?
No, you tell us. We're here for you to tell us.
Global warming, a gradual increase in the overall temperature of the Earth's atmosphere, generally attributed to the greenhouse effect caused by increased levels of carbon dioxide and other pollutants. Global warming projected to have numbers of effect on oceans, includes rising sea levels due to thermal expansion and melting glaciers and ice sheets and warming of ocean surface, leading to the increase of temperature stratification.
Global warming affects our health. Heat rising due to climate change has caused an increase in fires around the United States. Burning and smoke inhalation from the increasing numbers of fires led to the decline in physical health, which led to mental health problems. As the climate warms, it changes nature of global rainfall, evaporation, snow, steam flow, and other factors that affect the water supply quality.
Okay, that's fine. The greenhouse gas causes global warming human activities, mainly on the burning fossil fuels and clearing the forest, have strengthened the greenhouse effects, the causes of global warming.
Sinking cities. Mexico City has sunk nearly 30 feet since the end of the 19th century. A growing population of more than 21 million people has led to limited water resources as the city pumps groundwater from aquifers. Other important cities, New York City, New Orleans, and Venice, Italy, all sinking cities.
Now, everybody has had a sinking city, or if they didn't, they had some type of city. But who you know got an elevated city? I'll wait. Our city is elevated, and it stands on mounds. And my friend here will inform you guys on how our city stands.
So the idea is to create cities on 20-foot man-made mounds above sea level, and this will help against the current rising water levels.
Along with that, we will have our presentation. It's called Elevated Cities versus Sinking Cities. Sinking cities around the world. It has a lot to do with climate change. This is a short video that tells what top cities will be underwater sooner than you think.
Earth is about to be in big trouble. Climate change is expected to flood countless coastal regions and havoc in many other ways. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 cities that will be underwater sooner than you think. Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're looking at cities that are expected to incur the greatest amount of damage from rising sea levels and more intense storms in the next few years and decades.
Even Jakarta's governor was forced to find an unusual way of transportation.
Number 10, New York, USA. Over half the platforms are flooded and service has been suspended on all trains. Many climatologists predict that 6-foot floods could be a common occurrence by the end of the century. But before then, storms that hit the Big Apple are expected to keep getting worse. A wake-up call came in 2012 with Hurricane Sandy, which flooded 88,000 buildings and killed over 40 people in the area.
You're talking probably
thousands of, about 2,000, 3,000 feet of track that is completely submerged.
New York is doing a lot of planning to prevent these disasters, most notably being set to begin construction on the Big U in 2017. The Big Barrier System will form a perimeter around the lower half of Manhattan, which is at the highest risk of flooding. Number 9, Abidjan, Ivory Coast. In a primarily agricultural country that's being ravaged by drought, many denizens of the Ivory Coast are finding refuge in the capital city. While the city does offer more economic opportunities, it, as well as other cities along the country's coast, is unfortunately at great risk of flooding. Adding to the risk of coastal flooding is the Ivory Coast's heavy rain seasons, which have spurred floods in the past. The large population of poor citizens who live in improvised housing means the flooding is even worse, especially since the country may not be able to afford proper flood control systems. Number 8, Amsterdam, the Netherlands. About 2/3 of the total land in the Netherlands is subject to flooding, and among those 2/3 is the city of Amsterdam. Even before the threat of sea level rise became imminent, Amsterdam was at a big risk.
As you guys can see, flooding is a current situation that we have in the world because of global warming. Okay. Now we're gonna have why do cities sink?
Why do cities sink? The gradual subsidence of most cities has several causes, both man-made and natural. It starts with the hundreds of millions of people migrating into urban centers in search of better jobs and higher standards of living. This puts pressure on certain pockets of the planet to keep up with intensified demands for basic human sustenance. The indiscriminate use of groundwater, a scourge of rapidly expanding cities, is a prime contributor. Dried up lands compress under their own weight. In this sense, it costs too little to sink 2 wells and pump up precious stuff at will. In America, groundwater extraction without commensurate recharge is responsible for 80% of the subsidence.
Now we'll have animals like that.
Ecosystems are in flux as rising temperatures affect where animals can live and how they behave. A new study suggested that some species are feeling the heat more than others. Polar bears are starving because of global warming, melting sea ice. Studies show
Now we'll have ways people have tried to change the seasons.
If the water is too high because of the sea levels rise, then you have to adjust to the entire world, says University of Utrecht geologist and substance researcher Blair Erkins. In some ways, it makes it easier to adjust in the land substance because you only have to look at the local area. If the water is too high, because of the sea level rise, then you have to adjust the entire world. In some ways, that make it easier to adjust land substance. Google Erkins.
Some cities have already came up with their own solutions. Some cities, including Shanghai and Tokyo, have already solved the problem. Other communities like Hampton Roads area of Eastern Virginia are now coming up with their own creative solutions. A winding highway in Shanghai.
So basically in this picture, you see how Shanghai, they already have like an elevated city because like instead of using the ground, they use highways and different types of roads. So for the cars to like not be on the ground. And also they have like a standing, like, kind of like place where people like, yeah, something like that. I'm sure you guys are not used to this type of world that we live in, but it is getting more and more about the youth. Also in Tokyo, they have elevated hills, and I guess it's like different type of lands. Instead of being on, it's all about not being on the ground. If your city is elevated, then even if the city tries to sink, then you already be like above sea level. Basically, this is the sun, well, this is the earth, and it's warming, global warming.
This is basically the earth trapping heat from sun exposure.
And this is a chart of the hottest years on record globally. Yeah. The temperature is getting really hot every year, as you can see.
Next steps. Many of the world's most vital and historic cities were built on the coast because of their accessibility to trade via rivers and oceans. But as the planet has warmed, geography and development have left billions of people living in the shadow of an impending disaster. Through the stories of New York, Tokyo, London, and Miami, Sinking Cities presents an urgent and eye-opening examination of what may be one of the biggest threats to human survival.
Okay, so that's basically the end of our project. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
One thing I would like to say is that the future runs out of our youth. If the youth is not helping us, then who are? We are tomorrow's leaders. So you should really count on the youth to do everything, because I know back in you guys' days, they didn't have all this technology, they didn't have all this new stuff, they didn't have none of this stuff. Thank you.
We're going to have the next group. This is group 5. This is Sky Holmes, Andre Henry, and Lyric Holmes as well.
Hello, my name is Sky.
My name is Andre.
My name is Lyric. And today we are presenting global warming. Global warming is a long-term rise. Global warming is a long-term rise in the average temperature of the Earth's climate system and aspect of climate change shown by temperature measurements and by multiple effects of the warming. Most climate scientists agree the main cause of the current global greenhouse warming that results when the atmosphere traps heat radiating from space. Certain gases in the atmosphere block heat from escaping, causes the ocean surface, leading to increased temperature rarefaction. Effects. Expected effects include increase in global temperature, rising sea levels, changing prescription and expansion of deserts causes global warming is a serious environmental issue.
What causes global warming? Global warming occurs when carbon dioxide, which is known as CO2, and other air pollution and greenhouse gases collect in the atmosphere and absorb sunlight and solar radiation that have bounced off the Earth's surface.
In the United States, the burning of fossil fuels to make electricity is the largest source of heat trapping pollution.
Effects. Consequences projected to have number of effects on oceans. Ongoing effects include rising sea levels due to thermal expansion and melting of glaciers and ice sheets and warming. History of climate change. Science began in the early 19th century when ice ages and other natural changes in the paleoclimate were first suspected in the natural greenhouse effect. First identified in the late 19th century, scientists first argued that human emissions of greenhouse gases could change the climate.
Climate change Climate change causes not only rising average temperatures but also extreme weather events, shifting wildlife population and rising seas, which cause sinking cities.
Carbon dioxide has been producing about 2 billion tons into the air each year.
And this is something that I painted, and this will happen in the future if they do not hire levels and do not hire the buildings to go higher. So yeah.
Here is group number 6, Isis Davis, Matthew McClary, and Alan Daniel.
Hi, my name is Isis Davis.
And we present global warming. What is global warming?
Global warming is when greenhouse gases and other air pollution build up in the Earth's atmosphere, causing the Earth's temperature to rise.
Yes, speak up.
How does global warming affect the ocean? Basically, global warming, like inside Greenland, it melts the icebergs. It melts the icebergs and all the seawater from the iceberg go into the ocean, making the water rise. How to prevent global warming? Healing the planet starts in your garbage, your kitchen, your dining room table. You can speak up on the matter. I mean, not a lot of people speak up on global warming. Some do, some don't.
Alright, forward to stop global warming. Power your home with energy, renewable energy utilities like solar panel and stuff like that. It will help you save up money. Consume less, waste less, and enjoy more life. Actually eat the food that you're gonna buy and don't waste them. And
Reduce water waste. Saving water reduces carbon pollution. You can save water by starting by not running the water when brushing your teeth, taking less long showers, and using low flush toilets.
drive a fuel efficiency vehicle. So it's basically drive a vehicle that uses electricity more than gas, or drive a hybrid car, because the gas that come out of the car pollutes the air. And here's the benefit for 1959 and so now. That's it.
Group 7, this is Madison McClary, Ruth Valsaint, and Fernanda Aguilar.
Good morning.
Bonjour.
Buenos dias.
My name is Madison McClary.
My name is Ruth Valsaint. My name is Fernanda Aguilar.
And this is our global warming project.
Okay.
We're going to start with Ruth and her bubbles. She's going to show how.
Any volunteers? I need 4 picks for volunteers.
She's going to show us how bubbles are related to global warming on our Earth. Yes.
Okay. Look at this bubble. Picture Earth in this bubble. This bubble represents Earth's atmosphere. Now let's think critically. If nothing is going in or out of the bubble, then everything will remain warm. Everything released inside will stay inside. And that's what's happening to Earth. The gases produced from factories, cars, and etc. are all stocked up in our greenhouse gases. Thank you.
Now we have phases of the Earth. Fernanda is going to show us what it's like. Here's a picture of it close up. This is phase 1 of our Earth. This is phase 2, and this is phase 3. Right here we have phase 1. Our continents are in the Pangea. This is before the continental drift. Here's an explanation of it. This is the Earth before Swedish chemist Svante Arrhenius discovered that putting CO2, which is carbon dioxide, into the atmosphere makes the Earth warmer. Instead of taking in what Arrhenius said, society decided to push his allegations to the side. That is, until 1938. An engineer named Guy Stewart Callender developed the same theory that means raising carbon dioxide concentration into the atmosphere to global temperature. Although in the past, Svante Arrhenius proposed the same theory, it was further claimed as the Callender effect. This is phase 2. We are currently living in phase 2 of the Earth. And the history of it is, as the world economy recovered from 1939 World War II, industrial production goes into overdrive. People worked in factories burning coal and oil. It put so much sulfur pollution into the atmosphere that it partially blocked the sun's rays, and the Earth got slightly cooler over the next 3 decades. This is phase 3 of the Earth. This is what the future of Earth will look like if we don't make a change. According to the most recent report from the International Panel of the Climate Change, IPCC, global temperature will likely rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels between 2030 and 2052. If the warming continues at current rate, staying under the threshold was the optimistic goal set in the Paris Climate Agreement. Now we have Fernanda for our major causes.
Okay, so here we have made a model, and these are our major causes: wildfire, ice glaciers, car pollution, flooding, and factories. So here we have wildfire. Wildfire are caused by spontaneous combustion of dry fuels such as sawdust and leaves. Next, we have ice glaciers. The ice glaciers are increasing temperature is causing glaciers to melt, which is causing sea levels to rise. Next, we have car pollution. Cars produce a significant amount of nitrogen oxides and pollutions and other pollutions. Next, we have flooding. Due to sea level rising, flooding will occur more often around the world. And it's causing sinking cities such as Mexico City, China, Miami, Florida, Thailand, and etc. And what fossil fuel is? What is fossil fuel? Fossil fuel is such as coal and gas.
Now we have Fernanda for our statistics.
Here, as you can see, this is a line graph of the sea height variation. This shows how the sea levels have increased over the years. Here we have the largest emitters of greenhouse gases. Percentage of global greenhouse gas emissions. China is around 25.9, US 13.9, food waste 6.7, and India 6.4, and Russia is 4.9.
Now we have our facts.
The facts. Greenhouse gases keep heat close to the Earth's surface, making it livable for humans and animals. However, global warming is happening largely due to an over-emission of these gases and fossil fuels, natural oils, gasoline, and coal. The concentration of carbon dioxide, CO2, in our atmosphere as of 2018 is the highest it has been in 3 million years. Since 1870, global sea levels has risen by 8 inches.
Now I will be explaining statistics too. Where is global warming going? 2.3% of global warming is going to our atmosphere. 2.1% is going to our continents. 0.9% is going to our glaciers and ice caps. 0.8 is going to our Arctic Sea, ice. 0.2% is going to our Greenland ice sheet. 0.2% is going to our Antarctic ice sheet. 93.4% is going to our ocean. These are the implications for biodiversity of global warming. 1.5 Celsius. One ice-free Arctic summer per 100 years. Limiting warming to 1.5 Celsius rather than 2 degrees Celsius would prevent the thawing over centuries of 1.5 to 2.5 million kilometers over permafrost.
Now I'll be reading our action plan. As for solutions, we started with speaking about how the situation by converting to paper straws. Our next step should be keeping a closer eye out for loiterers and raising fine prices. Converting to electric cars would also be a great idea for reducing pollution from vehicles. Increasing our use in solar panels as well would help us save energy.
Now we have Ruth for her poem.
What is global warming? Does it only deal with the weather when it's storming? Natural resources being all used up, a polluted environment of a place that needs love. The world is dying along with other living things. Resources we need to survive are worldwide supplies, all going to waste because of human decisions, leading scientists to find a way to conquer this complicated mission. Our Earth is dying, but who's to blame? Undergoing hard circumstances, the world needs a change.
And we now have group number 8, Yusef Scott and Keon Currington.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Keon Currington.
And my name is Yusef Scott.
Today we're going to be talking about global warming and sinking cities and how it impacts Miami.
Alright, so starting with this poster, I will inform you about water pollution. There are roughly 600 species at risk of extinction. 48 of them alone are in the U.S. In tropical countries, whenever insects disappear, higher species also disappears at the same time. And all of this is due to water pollution. Endangered species in the U.S. are bald eagles, American bisons, grizzly bears, eastern timberwolves, and sea turtles. I feel as if in order to help the sea and its animals, we should start using more metal. I learned this from Miami Beach. So that way, if you were to maybe litter, which I hope you don't, it wouldn't be pushed into the sea by the wind. Or maybe if you were to drop something in the water, it would sink all the way to the bottom. That way it wouldn't be floating and confusing animals. And now we're going to talk about global warming. In case you're wondering what global warming is a gradual increase in the overall temperature of the Earth's atmosphere, generally attributed to the greenhouse effect caused by increased levels of carbon dioxide and other pollutants. In short term, global warming is basically the global temperature increasing at a fast rate. And fun fact, scientists believe rather than killing fish in a couple of years, maybe global warming will shrink them. And sadly, an unfun fact, global warming puts coral reefs in danger as the ocean warms. Scientists fear that global warming will be like a really danger. They will not be able to adapt fast enough to the ocean warming up, which is resulting in incidents such as increase in diseases. And now I have a surprise. It started off as a song, but I feel it would be better as a poem at the moment. I couldn't really think of a title, so I called it Global Warming. This was actually inspired by Mr. Dozier. If it was for him, I wouldn't really be into global warming. Actually, when I was reading it the other day and looking at studies, I realized that global warming is actually kind of a scary thing, noticing that Miami would be underwater in less than a couple of years. We starting war without blinking. Someone tell me what we thinking. Machines polluting our air and it's bringing us to extinction. The tide's not getting lower, it's flowing over our semen. Burning holes in our ozone, there's ultraviolet rays leaking. Society wanted answers, not knowing that we're the reason. Causes incorporated, subliminal minds of thinking. Nonchalant about the changes, that's why most people don't see it. If you're aware of the problem, you might be able to sink it. In order to make some changes, you gotta expand your knowledge. Fail to comprehend in your mind, it can't be an option. In order to help us fix what the previous generation started, animals gotta suffer for something that humans plotted. Global warming is real, gotta tackle it with precision. We're not just stopping the crisis, we're recognizing the difference. Antarctica reached its peak, and the sea is passing its limits. King tide is moving in while Miami is slowly sinking. Not too many people understand, but I'm a leader, so I'll make sure that I'll lend a hand. We gotta find a better way, we gotta make a plan. No sitting down, we need to use all the brains that we can. Within a world begging for help, we need to make a stand.
We have our next group, which is J.D. Roberts, Tiana Graham, and Lakaya Graham. Group number 9.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Urban Construction Craft Academy. Today, my name is Talia.
And my name is Tiana Graham.
Alright. Today our project will be on global warming
And sinking cities.
Before we start, I want to give a special birthday shout out to
Dr. Dorothy Bendigo.
And also, we don't want to forget Mrs.
That was there.
I'm going to start by talking about global warming. Global warming is a long-term rise in the average temperature of the Earth's climate system, an aspect of climate change shown by multiple changes in life. Okay, let me break it down for you.
Break it down.
Alright, so different temperatures is meaning that it's like, my bad, I got y'all. Alright, so in different temperatures, I'm meaning like it can rain, it can thunder, it can cause like ice, it can cause different things, right? Most climate scientists agree the main cause of the current global warming trend is explosion of the greenhouse. If you didn't know, this is the greenhouse right here. And certain gases come out of the greenhouse. And during the global warming, the certain gases can't go out into the atmosphere because when the greenhouse is exposed, like open, there's gases that come out. And when they go out into they go out in the air, they can't go past the atmosphere because there's certain gases that stops them and attracts them. Right? So, expected effects include increasing global temperature, rising sea levels, and severe environment issues. Now, on to my partner.
I will be talking about sinking cities. So basically, at the bottom, this is a city. Basically, sinking cities is when your city is endangered. Like, you can tell that by the project there is a wildfire and it is endangered. So basically, sinking cities is due to the fact that global warming and all of that, it's a bad resource.
Thank you.
Wait.
We got a fun fact.
Garrett Morgan and JP Knight invented the traffic light. Thank you and have a blessed day.
And we have our next presentation by Jade Roberts. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jade Roberts, and I'm going to be talking about global warming. Global warming is a gradual increase in the overall temperature of the Earth's atmosphere, generally attributed to levels of carbon dioxide and other pollutants. The cause of global warming is greenhouse gases trapping heat radiating from Earth to space. This heat in the form of infrared radiation gets in the planet's atmosphere, warming the lower atmosphere and surface. Now I'm going to be telling you what are the causes and effects of global warming. Global warming is projected to have a number of effects on the ocean. Ongoing included rising effects due to thermic expansions and melting of the glaciers, as you can see, warming the ocean surface, leading to increase to be telling you. Now I'm going to be telling you how does the climate change affect us. As the climate warms, it changes the nature of global rainfall, evaporation, snow, spring flow, and other factors that affect water supply and quality. The gases that causes global warming is the primary greenhouse gases in Earth's atmosphere are water, vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and ozone. I put this here because this is water pollution. We make water pollution. Water pollution is when people put different type of gases in the ocean affecting the fish. I put this plastic here because they put plastic in the ocean knowing that the fish would be wrapped up, harming them. I put this here because this is the air pollution going into the atmosphere. These are ways to stop global warming. Planting trees, use both sides of the paper, fill the dishwasher before using it, reuse plastic shopping bags, recycle glass jars, newspapers, and tiny cans. Have a compost heap in your yard. Don't keep the TV, VCR, or DVD on standby. Consider public transportation alternatives. I suggest that your parents buy a fuel smart car. Wait, we can do better.
But right now, we're going to have Mr. Dozier come on up.
I apologize for taking this out of sequence, but we have tremendous support in the academy, tremendous support. And there's one individual, I think, goes far and beyond the call of duty whenever we ask. He rallied to the cause. He's a school board employee. This is not part of his job description. Mr. Luis Diaz, can you come forward, please? I hope I don't get him in trouble. Get him in trouble.
In trouble because I was trying to leave.
He used to be one of Mr. Wilson's guys, Freddie right here. And every time he called this man, he's here. We needed computers. Nobody would even talk to us. How many you need, Bill? I know I shocked him when I told him how much, but he came through nonetheless. And so I'd be totally remiss if I didn't stop before he had to run. And please join me in recognizing Mr. Luis Diaz for his outstanding contribution
to go out to help someone such as Mr. Dozier and his team. Very simple. All you have to do is see what they're doing one time, and it's a done deal. At least in my books. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm going to get yelled at when I go downtown because I'm missing a meeting. But that's okay. Because I'm not trying to miss any of the student presentations because to me, it's unbelievable. I actually oversee all of the summer school for Miami-Dade County Public Schools. You hear me? All of it. And I've been around to a lot of different locations this year in summer camps, etc. But last year when I came to this graduation, and it was very nonchalant, because you know Mr. Dozier, he doesn't give you like the invitation, he kind of texts you, hey, just come by. I said, okay, let me just come by, see what's going on. So I just walked in, it was kind of on the way home, to be honest with you. I said, you know, this will be a quick stop on the way home. Well, I was blown away. And I told him that day, after we did this last year at the 5,000 role model building, I told him, he made my summer. Not that day, he made my summer. When I saw what those young girls and boys were doing at that graduation last year. So that's why I'm here, Bill. I don't need this, I appreciate this, but I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay? And I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much.
And we're going to have our final student presentation, and please give her a big round of applause. Women by herself.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Today I'm going to be teaching y'all about global warming. So, first we're going to start with Florida. So, as y'all know, in a couple of years, Florida isn't going to be here. Why? Because everybody is doing stuff like we're causing pollution, we're littering. Yeah, I be seeing y'all drop them little stuff. Anyways, yeah. So, everybody know what global warming is, right? Yes. Well, in 2015, the fastest, like basically, 2015 was one of the fastest years.
Back here, put your mic up.
2015 was one of the fastest years that we was causing global warming because we was doing a lot of inventing and causing a lot of pollution and a lot of new things was made. But the question is, what are we going to do to fix it? And who did stuff to fix it? So I'm going to pass y'all out some stuff that y'all can pass back to each other. Okay. I hope y'all read this because I have no time. Okay. So those are pictures of cities and pictures of global warming and a couple of fun facts. So now we're going to go to presidents and years. When President Obama was president, he did 10 major environment accomplishments. 1, clean power plan. 2, international climate agreement. 3, pollution limits plan. 4, reduce air pollution. 5, cleaner cars and trucks. So that was when President Obama was president. And now global warming is speeding up. Now that Trump is president and now that people aren't doing any better. I would say that. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, we went on a field trip to Virginia Key Beach. And I was asking questions like, why are these big old trees in the middle of the sand? So they was like, because the sand is getting pushed into the water, so erosion is happening, and the sand is not going to be here. It's just going to be water soon, and the water level is rising. So I said, well, what do you call that? They said, that is what you call global warming, and that's what you call the beach not being here. So I said, okay. So what does a tree do? So these trees was called mangroves, and they hold the sand inside of its vessels or whatever. So I said, well, what happened if a hurricane come and knock down the trees? So they said, that's a good question. It's not really much we could do, but use less pollution, pick up our trash, not litter, and do other stuff. Yeah. So I was like, okay. So then that's my great mother in the orange, and I sing her about the litter. And I said,
get her!
And I said, Mother, and she said, yes, Mark. And I said, you're littering. You gotta get out of the car and pick it up. And she looked at me, and I said, Mother's not gonna be here. If somebody get buried, then what's gonna happen? So I was like, y'all know kids be asking all these questions. So then we back at the beach. We went to the beach. I went to the beach with my mother, and I was like, so if we could do a good percentage, then what would you say the percentage of sand is to water, or the ratio? She said, well, a normal beach would probably have about 70% water and 30% sand, but if global warming happens, then there's going to be no sand. So I was like, okay. So now we're at camp. So we're going to try to do better, right? Right. And we're not going to litter. Right. Because if I see that litter, I'm going to walk out the car and I'm going to say something.
And let's give a round for Tamari. And she made it very personal and tells how that impacts her. So that's probably one of our future environmentalists. So please give a round up for all the groups that are here today that made these occasions. All right, Mr. Elijah Brunson. He sounds like a radio guy.
Thank you. So, I'm going to be presenting the awards to our teachers that taught us a lot. Sam, Holloway, Mr. Frank, Mr. Charlie. Y'all come up. Oh, yeah, you too. I would like to present y'all this award for helping us understand flooring, AC, plumbing, tiling, and electricity. Thank you. Mr. Lawrence Holloway, air conditioner. Miss Derek Smith, architecture.
I'm sorry, Mr. Smith. We have an architect that works with him as well.
Mr. Derek Smith. Mr. Frank Halford, electricity. Mr. Jim May, master craftsman. Mr. Tim Smoggy, painter. And Mr. Sam Johnson, tile carpenter. Mr. Albert Sturm. Give it up for the people.
Just a quick comment. These gentlemen give their time so freely. In the middle of the day, they stop, or in the morning, they actually come out and teach a full day, 1 day a week. And Mr. Smith, the architect, part of his challenge is to come back once they understand plumbing, show them how to look on a plan, so when they see it, not only do they learn how to read the plan, but they actually can do the work. So I think these guys have done a tremendous job. Please help me just applaud them, show how much we appreciate it.
And once again, to all the instructors, thank you for taking your time. I know that you put in more hours freely than we were compensated for, but you invested in the future. And as James T. made an allusion to earlier, that you planted the seeds, perhaps these young ladies and men will own their own construction companies and, more importantly, protect our environment. We have a special presentation by Barbara Howard, talking about an entrepreneur.
Hello everyone. I'm standing today to tell you some special recognition, but what we need to tell you is this is our time to brag about some of our people who've done well and are going on with their education. First, I'd like to acknowledge Alan Daniel. He'll be going to Miami-Dade College. Andrew J. Dean will be going to George T. Baker Aviation School. Will be going to FIU, and our team will be going to Miami-Dade also. These are some of our students, and that's their next step in their education, and we like to say thank you so much for coming out, that we be able to tell you and brag about how great our kids are doing. Thank you.
And now we'd like to have a recognition of some of the volunteers and staff, and Mr. Dozier is going to do that honor.
As we said at the beginning, I stand up here and get all the accolades, but I do the smallest amount of work. And I have to give props to those who actually make this thing possible on a day-to-day basis. I'm sure after this summer camp they're going to change their numbers. Contact them again, but for now while I have them, I want to let them know how much we truly, truly appreciate them. Okay, and they're in no particular order. Mr. James Battle. Here. This is is a husband and wife team. She came out to volunteer, he came out to bring her, and they both got stuck here. So, this is for Miss Sherry Battle, and this is for your husband, James. He had to go work today, huh? This lady called once and asked if she volunteer in the summer camp. And we said, sure, come out. She's been more than a volunteer. This lady takes her personal money, go out. I think all the kids love her because she'd probably be broke. They have her going to the store buying all of their art supplies and what have you. She does everything. Miss Cheryl-Nett, editor. This lady became our first volunteer when we opened the Urban Academy. And I don't think she found her way out the door yet. I did tell her, when she leaves, I'm leaving. Ms. Henry has been nothing less than a stalwart for the Academy, both the night program and our summer camp. She had no idea she was going to have to work this hard during the summer. Ms. Henry, would you please come out? And again, she had a partner in crime, Miss Barbara Howard. She came out to help one day, and we lost the date. She's been there ever since. They're here on a day-to-day basis. About 3 years ago, a young man came into our program, maybe 3 years ago, as a student. And he took the class and he did extremely well, but I noticed that he was quite mature. And he's done everything. And if there is an heir apparent, and it certainly will be, it will be Mr. Sam Johnson. Sam. He's the first in the morning, the last to leave every day.
Oh, student awards, of course. The first recipient is Fernandia Aguilar. Fernandia, you saw her in her presentation earlier. This will end, so I didn't see everything, but Shamari Baptiste, the one and only. Please come forward. The next recipient is Tyrone Blunt, Jr. The next recipient, Calvin Brown. Next we have Alan Daniel.
And Mr. Daniels is headed to Miami-Dade College in a couple of weeks.
We have Isis Davis. Congratulations. Elijah Brunson. Darius Curlington. Keon Curlington. You speak loud, right? Now he's Andrew J. Dean.
This gentleman is on his way to George T. Baker.
All right, George T. Baker Aviation School. Good luck in your endeavors. Jeremiah Dukes. Tiana Graham.
Stop right here. Her father was in our very first class at the Urban Academy when we started 9 years ago. And now we have his daughters here for the summer camp. You might not recognize them. He has long hair.
Hey, and here we have the Kayagram. Kalia Gram. Miss Graham, can you come up and take a picture with your sister as well? Alan Harnett. Andre Henry.
Ladies, man.
Lyric Holmes. Sky N. Holmes. All right, somebody about to be a world star. Sky's outside. All right, we'll just hope to see she gets back inside. Kenyatta Johnson. DeVoris Kemp. Jeremy Knight.
We'll bring him back up as soon as we finish, okay?
Jeremy Knight again. Madison McClary.
Concerned about the kids.
Matthew McClary.
You want to take a picture of their mom?
Yeah, take a picture.
Please, can you come on? Okay, take a picture.
All right, now take them with your siblings. Okay.
You're in the middle.
Thank you. We have Sky Holmes. Sky. Come on, give it up for Sky. And her sister. Hold up your certificate, Sky. There you go. Our next recipient is Tamani Manel. Tamani Manel. There you go. Next, Cayenne Mincy Horton. All right, you have missed your award, buddy. Where we going, man? You got a point to catch something? Khalid Murphy, congratulations. Khalid Murphy.
Go, TJ! With your handsome self.
Liz Moore. Marcella Polk. Frederick Pickens. Abrina Redding. Abriana Redding. At least by the same name.
Yeah, Bree.
Dundee Roberts. Did I pronounce that correctly this time? Janae Roberts. Okay, Yusef Scott. You'll be teaching the course next year. Now you're gonna walk over here. Come on.
Thank you very much. Turn around. Oh, I'm sorry.
Ashari Taylor. An instructor for next year as well. Very good presentation.
Hold it up there.
And by the way, the certificates say has successfully completed 6 weeks of study in the following areas: air conditioning, painting, electrical, plumbing, tile, framing. Our next recipient is Jermaine Taylor. Your brother? Let me take a picture of your brother. Alright, he just walked on my way. Let me take a picture of him first, then you can join him.
Yeah, hold it up. Hold it up.
Jermaine, smile. There you go. I know it's painful. Alright, take a picture with your sister.
Alright. Hold it up, hold it up, hold it up.
Our next recipient, Elijah Vasquez. And next, a young lady that I first met when I arrived on the campus today, Ruth Valsaint. Okay, you have presentation for remaining staff? For our counselor, Albert Dozier.
Sherry Battle?
Is Battle Sherry Battle? I think it's Sherry. Christian Nampy. Christian Nampy. All right, parking. This has to be Nigerian. Aiken Indowagu. All right, the parking lot. Probably Igbo. Sharonette Evans. Divorce Dozier. In the meantime, James Battle. Yeah, he's working. Norma Hendry. Are you going to Miss United? Forget you. All right, kids. Dominique Hodges. Barbara Howard. Thurman Jones. Marcel Williams. Alex Woodson. He's outside. Now, we have a young lady that wanted to say something, and we're going to give her that opportunity. But first, we have Miss Norma Henry coming up, and she has some words to say. Miss Henry?
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. But we wanted the staff, the students, the volunteer. Mr. Dozier has done so much for the school, and he always gives it all he can. Yes. And he looks out for the kids, he looks out for us. He never wants to be recognized. Ever. He don't want us to give him anything, but while you sent me on my journey to get the plaque and award, I'm not waiting for him. No. This is from the staff, the leader, and on the plaque it says, presented to William Dozier in appreciation of your generosity, support, and outstanding leadership. We appreciate everything you do for us. And this is from the urban construction volunteers and staff.
Oh my God.
We also brought happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Dozier. Happy birthday to you. Monday. But because this is the last day for the kids, we wanted them to sign their names so he could have that to sing, and we wanted them to sing happy birthday to you.
Not only am I honored, but I'm deeply touched and moved by it. You know, we don't do anything for recognition. We just do it because it's the right thing to do. Who can't love these kids? Who couldn't love them? It's really an honor to be allowed to come out and work with the short time I have the privilege. So thank all of you, and the staff is the best in the world. Thank you all guys so much.
All right, we have one more element of our program, and as Mr. Dozier, just a reference to the impact of these individuals, some that are outside right now, that they have on these kids. You can do the littlest thing, and these kids will remember you for the rest of their lives. Okay, and kids want to express their appreciation.
I just want to give the thanks to Mr. Dozier again. This is my 3rd year here, and I enjoy all of them. Mr. Sam, Mr. Frank, all of y'all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Talia once again, and I just wanted to say thank you because it's been an amazing summer break. It's been good. I learned a lot, and hopefully I can use it in the future. Thank you.
I want to thank every last one of you because y'all helped me through a lot. Y'all can help me whenever I need something to do in my house, I can do that. And I want to thank y'all.
To be totally honest, words can't describe how much I want to thank them. It's like my whole experience here was awesome. From the work experience, to the staff, to the kids. Oh, it's just, I love this camp, and I'm definitely going to be here next year for staff.
All right, come on back, young man.
I'm sorry. I met this young man. Mr. Dozier introduced me to this young man. I listened to his rap, and he don't know today, and I told him, once he finished it, put it in my hand, and we would play it on 99J.
Well, you never know, careers can start, okay? But if you need an agent, hey. Available. I think we're going to have, for lunch, and Mr. Lindsay Maestro Powell is going to do the prayer before we break for lunch. We're going to take a group picture, and then we'll do the prayer. All right, I'd like to introduce you Mr. Lindsay Maestro Powell from 99 Cans, or we're going to do the presentation first.
Prior to Mr. Maestro doing the closing, we have an amazing gentleman here. An amazing, all of you are absolutely amazing. But we have a man that I met about a week ago. This young man is totally blind. Not only is he a carpenter, he's an electrician, he's a plumber, he's actually building his house in spite of his minor setback. That's only one of the things that I admire so much about it. He brought in some artwork that you guys must go see. It's in the main office on display. Once you see it, you will never forget this experience. And the thing that all the students and staff and myself truly gained from this meeting this young man was his spirit of never quitting, never stopping. And once you get a chance to see his work and see some of the things that he's still accomplished in spite of his loss of sight, he's nothing less than truly amazing. So before you leave, prior to lunch, if you walk down to the first building, we have all his work on display. Okay, and then we have to go to the cafeteria for the lunch.
If we would take that time and bow our heads, we want to give our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ thanks. Father God, as we enter into your sanctuary, we want to say, Father, we thank you for your Son, Jesus. We thank you for you, God, being the God that you are. And Father, we thank you for the food that we're about to receive. But Father, we ask you to bless the one who prepared it. Bless the people who picked this food for us. Bless the soil that you blessed for this food to grow. God, we give you the honor and the praise that each one of us will receive this food in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.